Grelf. Great to see you. What's going on? What's new?
Well, I was tuning in to the show as I do very regularly, a listener, and I just wanted to make sure that I was here to make your show even longer.
Okay, great. Thank you.
It's been going on a long time, and I'm thinking we should make this even longer.
Well, I mean, what do we want to talk about?
Also, well, I want to talk about the fact that, do you remember a few months ago when I came on here and we had a very frank discussion about good old retail and stuff, and
yeah,
it's if we got Rob Paulson, probably the most famous character from the hedera subreddit, saying, hey, maybe someone's making a good point here. Think of the amount of progress we've made. Like, a lot of people didn't really understand what retail was. And a lot of people really didn't understand how important, the equivalent shareholders of the stock of hedera are.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I mean, for folks unfamiliar with, Rob Paulson, I mean, a lot of folks, criticize Rob Paulson because he's very much like an old school HBARbarian, sometimes can be seen as like anti-degen or whatever it might be. But I mean, long time in the ecosystem, smart guy. And you're right, Gerbert. It's like when you have those early hedera purists starting to go, hey, like there's some more interesting stuff to uncover here. There's some new perspectives. 6 years into this experiment, we've learned a lot, and there's some new problems to solve that can be exciting. That's a great point and a great signal that these types of conversations we're having in this ecosystem are, having an impact, most likely.
Right, and you can also extrapolate that to hedera. I'm sure a lot of people work at Hashgraph, hedera, all the different thingies that are totally separate, Gary Gensler. Don't even worry about it. All those separate companies, very separate companies, I'm sure they had a lot of those same types of people kind of repeating the same rhetoric that we've heard for a long time. Oh, we're different. We're like Apple. We're just going to explode one day. We're so cool and our technology's so great, it'll just, pay the bills for us. It's a long-term hold. But there's no reason, if our technology is good, which it is good, there's no reason we can't start eating some other people's lunch. And there's no reason we can't do it all, We're big babies now.
We're boss babies now. It dawned on me too as like, this is the first episode I'm streaming to LinkedIn, so anyone tuning in on LinkedIn probably is wondering like what the hell's going on with this show. But maybe, I mean, do you have anything actually that you want to talk about, or are we just filibustering trying to make the show as long as possible?
Well, that's always a good thing. I would say something I want to talk about is really my main concern lately is just kind of the sentiment of the community and the ecosystem in general. Sure. A lot of people said, hey, that Shane guy should go. Yeah, and I agreed with it as well. And the Shane guy went. And I thought, hey, everybody's going to smile and be happy. They were happy for maybe an hour. And that shows that there's a bigger problem at hand. And of course, there's always a bigger problem at hand. But I would just, if I could say anything to peeps out there, it really helps. If you smile, it's more likely that someone else is going to smile with you. I think we need to really have a little bit of trust in the people working, behind closed doors. Give them a little bit more time. They're slow. They're not fast. But I think that real change is coming. And if we can be a little happier in the meantime, that would make being here a lot easier for all of us.
Yeah, I definitely, Gerbert, I get that sense too. What's going on behind closed doors. We're starting to see signals, like you were talking about Rob Paulson, people that are definitely similar to the folks behind closed doors, changing their minds, adopting new ideas. And I agree with you that I think that a lot of times when you feel like giving up the most is when you're closest potentially to that success. And so we could easily mess it up as an ecosystem. I think the only way that this community could really mess things up for this network is not sticking together, right? Not putting differences aside in a lot of ways. And I look at folks like Rob Paulson that I think I mostly disagree with, and there's a lot of distance between someone like him, myself, and I. But the thing is that when you really take a look at someone like myself or Rob Paulson, it's like we have a lot more in common than not, because we hold HBAR and we're obsessed with the network, you know?
Right,
and
we're all bag holders at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And so I think that's kind of how I want to keep myself in check, is, of course, in this kind of frustrating time, I think that it's really easy to see people you disagree with sharing opinions and disagree with them. But I try to remind myself that, like, you know what? Just being in the game, just building on this network, just holding HBAR means you have a lot more in common with fellow HBARbarians than not. Now's not a great time to bring out the pitchforks. Now's a time when really, whether it's someone you disagree with, whether it's a competitor of your project, to really kind of align as much as we can, because there's a lot of problems that can't be solved solo, you know?
Right. And I'm going to try to, apply that to myself too. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect at all. And I'm going to try to, going forward, be a little nicer to people, give people a little more grace, and practice what I preach and show a little more patience.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's tough to hear. Like, that's, I think, the most frustrating part is all we've heard is be patient, it takes time, it's slow. And I think how I kind of look at it is, well, they've been moving slow in the wrong direction, and now it feels like they may be moving slow in the right direction. And so that's something. And I think the next challenge is kind of what Mance and Charles and these other folks in leadership talk about, hedera 2.0, is speed an element of that, in any way.
Right. Right. I mean, it should be. I agree with some of the people who are getting a little angry at Charles because,
Sure.
He can pop on a weird private call or semi-private call and say some cool stuff and, oh, wow. But, I mean, he can also use Twibber.
Yeah.
Make a video. Doesn't have to be a lot, but, having little points of contact with the community is good. It's the same as with people, right? Like, you're supposed to get a certain amount of physical contact every day to, engage your brains. We need that on the internets now.
Yeah, we got to do that. And I think it's time. And I mean, the next governing council meeting is probably... there's a high likelihood that it's tomorrow, to be honest. Usually they're in the middle of the month on a Thursday. So we'll have to see. But if you want to talk about behind closed doors, the most closed and biggest, most important door is the one where the governing council meeting's on the other side. And it'll be really interesting to kind of see if we get more signals going into the end of the year of that change,
And I'm excited for some new big announcements. They got to have something cooking. They had to have been waiting for a lot of this, Shane debacle to be over to announce some cool stuff coming to Hedera. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm shocked sometimes that our conversations, Gerber, have gotten more serious and very nuanced as time has gone on. We've gone from talking about soup and lizards to really tackling some complex topics. So it's great.
I just want everybody to be happy. I mean, I'm chained to this place. I have to be here, and the basement's filling up with water, and I'm trying to keep breathing. And I'm just like, hey, can somebody grab a bucket with me, please? Can somebody grab a bucket? We're all chained here. I mean, the long-term people, as much as they may complain, we're still here because, I don't know, maybe something's wrong with us. But we're in here for the long haul. And, I've made my peace with that. I'm going down with the ship, baby. But if you can bail out some of the water with me, we can keep swimming.
Yeah, no, great idea. And I feel the same way. And I think that, yeah, it's just about sticking together. You know, that's really what it's about. Yeah, Gerbert the Grelf, appreciate you stopping by. The message is let's all chill out a little bit, you know? You just wink.
I tried.
Holy shit. That's fantastic. Gerbert the Grelf,
I'm not
everybody.
great at winking, but yeah, thanks for having me on. Love the show. If anyone's not watching it, they're not watching me say watch it, but watch it.
Sounds good. Thank you, Gerbert, the legend. Always a pleasure having Gerbert on. That wink was that was a marvel of technology and everything of human achievement, making that wink happen.